Unc, you should do an IRL stream.
My best friend overdosed 2 months ago.
Okay, I feel like we need to have this conversation right now. Okay, so we all know the fact that manga is completely destroying Western comics, and anyone with a brain can understand why. Manga takes a lot more risks, it has a lot more interesting art styles. It advertised a lot more variety compared to Western comics where they only advertise superhero shit. And when adaptations get made, they are actually faithful to the source material, which acts as advertising for newer fans. Which Invincible was the only piece of modern superhero media that actually got the memo. But that's only a small piece of the puzzle. The much bigger piece, and the piece I want to talk about, is how corporations single-handedly destroyed Western art and creativity. And comics and animation are a good example of this. Now, back in the day, Western and Japanese animation had a much similar start. And somewhere along the timeline, those paths diverged, and one became more successful while the other one was stuck in a niche. And there are two things to blame for that. One is corporations, and the other one is Western conservatism. Back then, Western comics had Seduction of the Innocent, which was a very influential book that essentially talked about how comics are bad and are corrupting the youth. You know, the same shit with rap, hip-hop, and rock and roll, and whatever younger kids like that the older generation didn't like, and so they called it satanic. You know, that's why I listed Western conservatism. So anyway, the book Seduction of the Innocent led to a fear-mongering campaign against comics, which led to the Comics Code Authority, which limited the type of stories that can be told through comics, essentially creating censorship. And that shit lasted for 60 years and only ended in 2011. And that's only the tip of the iceberg. I'm not talking about the many petty lawsuits, the many writers and authors getting screwed over by their companies, which, fun fact, that was actually the reason Image comics were created, so artists could actually have creative control over their works. Then you had that shit in the 90s where comic companies were pandering to collectors by overprinting variant covers of single issues, essentially treating comics like penny stocks. Comic book companies' lawsuits and borderline bankruptcy go hand in hand like cereal and milk, which has led to things like Disney buying Marvel, which ended the spectacular Spider-Man series, by the way, and DC essentially causing the death of Milestone Comics, basically ending one of the biggest outputs for black stories. Now fast forward to modern day corporate America, where non-superhero comics are struggling for the spotlight because DC and Marvel has a strong hold on Western comics. And that's not even getting into the cultural aspects about how comics and animation are still looked at as mediums for kids rather than a genuine art form. Like, it's no shit that manga is beating comics. We've been shot in the foot multiple times and we're just now beginning to limp. Hell, not even limp, beginning to crawl. And a slow crawl at that. The people on that tiny ass island weren't in the trenches of corporate America like we were. Did they have to deal with Bible thumping maniacs? No. Are they at the center of the literal embodiment of corporatism? No. Were they trained to have a very narrow view of artistic expression? Hell nah. And the same shit can be said with animation as well. A medium that is indefinitely stagnated because of retarded CEOs, our culture's narrow-minded view of artistic expression, and our cultural apathy to take action and fix it. Because listen, whatever form of community you find online that agrees with your opinion, whatever content creator echoes your exact thoughts out loud, it's only a small portion of the population. The majority of people, of 9 to 5 people, don't give a fuck. You can serve them shit on a plate and they'll lop it up happily and thank you for it. And black people, don't even get me started with you guys. Mr. Let's support black artists. Let's support black businesses. But when a black guy actually comes out with a piece of content or a creation, all we hear is crickets. Nigga, fuck you. I try to not be a raccoon, and trust me, I'm working on it, but y'all niggas make it so hard. But you know what they say, easy to like, hard to love. But anyway, back to the main rant. We don't hate corporations enough. We don't care enough. We don't love art enough. And until people actually do something or we start to get actual results, well, in the words of the Joker, you get what you fucking deserve. Or whatever, I don't know. I stopped caring a long time ago. I just need to get this rant out of my system. But yeah, bye.
Billionaires are gonna get turned into boy toy slaves by their own security force in their apocalypse bunkers. This is a real frequent problem that billionaires have, thinking about, okay, after money doesn't exist, how am I gonna control the SEAL Team 6 I hired to protect my bunker? You can't, dude. In the event of an apocalypse, all y'all are getting dug out by a DL retired special ops soldier you hired to protect